Okay, so welcome back to the part 2 of solving quadratic equation. Okay, this part will tackle about the factoring method. Okay, so ngayon tuturuan ko kayo kung paano mag-solve ng quadratic equation by factoring. Okay, let's start. So there's the title. Ito naman yung objectives natin. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Okay? Naka-highlight. Okay. Remember, sige, before I proceed nga pala, I hope na familiar na kayo kung paano mag-factor ng quadratic trinomials and perfect square trinomials. Kasi importante yun sa lesson na to. But kung nakalimutan nyo, if you forgot how to factor or if you are not familiar on how to factor quadratic trinomials and perfect square trinomials, I will provide a link I will provide a link in the description below. Okay? So don't worry. And I hope you can follow along this lesson. Okay. So remember, only quadratic equation that is factorable can be solved by factoring. So kapag ang quadratic equation ay hindi kayang hanapan ng factor or hindi yan factorable, then hindi natin yan isa-solve gamit ang factoring. Isa-solve natin yan using the remaining two methods. Okay? To solve such quadratic equation, now, kung factorable, we have to follow we have to follow procedures. Yung i-discuss ko ngayon dito. Okay? So first procedure is to transform the quadratic expression into standard form if necessary. Okay? So first, we have to write the equation in standard form. Number 2, factor the quadratic expression. Third procedure, apply zero product property by setting each factor of the quadratic expression equal to 0. So it means paghihiwalayin natin yung dalawang factors, then i-equate natin yon sa 0. Next, solve the resulting equation, then isosolve natin yung equation. 5, check the values of the variables obtained by substituting each in the original equation. Okay, so sa number 5, substitute lang natin yung makukuha nating roots dun sa original equation. Then, itatest natin kung yung mga nakuha ba nating roots na talaga na iyon ay solution of the equation and not extraneous roots. Okay. So here is an example. N squared plus 2n equals -1. As you can see, the given equation is not yet written in standard form. So ang gagawin natin, ililipat natin si -1 sa kabilang side para maging standard form. So kapag nilipat natin si -1 sa kabilang side ng equation, magiging +1. So now we have the equation n squared plus 2n plus 1 equals 0. Then pwede na natin i-factor itong equation na ito. Okay? So kapag finactor natin to, it will give us n plus 1 times n plus 1. So to factor polynomials or quadratic trinomials or perfect square trinomials, by the way, n squared plus 2n plus 1 is an example of perfect square trinomials. Why? Yung first term natin is a perfect square since ang exponent is even number. Then yung third term natin is also a perfect squared number. Okay, 1 is a perfect squared number. And yung middle term natin is twice the product of the first term and the last term. So we have 2 in here. So mag-iisip lang tayo ng factors ni 1 na kapag pinag-add ay 2. Since madali lang naman kunin ang factors ni 1, ang factors ni 1 ay siya lang din, di ba? 1 and 1. So, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So therefore, we have the factors n plus 1 times n plus 1. Okay? Then equate each factors. Now we're going to equate these factors to 0. So n plus 1 equals 0 and n plus 1 equals 0. Then, transfer natin yung positive 1 sa kabilang side ng equation. Then it will give us n minus 1 and n minus 1. Then box the final answer. So therefore, the roots of the quadratic equation is negative 1. Now, if we are going to substitute negative 1 to the original equation, it will also be equal to negative 1. Since negative 1 minus 2 is equal to negative 1. Okay? Okay, next example. We have the last example. Okay, m squared plus 5m minus 14 equals 0. Okay, so for this one, okay, baback muna ako. Oops, there. Ayan. Wait lang. Okay, for this one, we can skip step 1 since the given equation is already given in standard form. Okay? Naka-standard form na siya, kaya ang gagawin na lang natin is if a factor. Now, to factor this, okay, so again, gaya ng sabi ko kanina, to factor this one, titignan lang muna natin yung third term. So, our third term is negative 14. The third term is negative 14. Now, hahanap tayo ng factors ni negative 14 wherein kapag pinag-add natin equal sa positive 5. So, what are the factors of negative 14? We can have negative 7, negative 7 and positive 2. We can also have negative 2 and positive 7. Okay? And also, we can have negative 14 and positive 1. And negative 1 and positive 14. So these are the factors of negative 14. As you can see, ayan. So ayan yung mga factors ni negative 14. Now we're going to test each factors. Now we're going to test each of their sum. Okay? If we are going to add, kung i-add natin si negative 7 and positive 2, that will be equal to negative 5. Since magkaiba sila ng sign, tapos si 7 ay negative, then kapag pinag-add natin to, that will be equal to negative 5. Pero kapag pinag-multiply natin, negative 14. Now, negative 5 ba ang hanap natin? Hindi. So, ibig sabihin, hindi natin gagamitin ito. Hindi natin pwedeng gamitin. Hindi natin pwedeng gamitin si negative 7 and positive 2. How about negative 2 and positive 7? Now, negative 2 times positive 7 is equal to negative 14. Pero kapag pinag-add ba natin si negative 2 at si positive 7 equal sa 5? Yes, equal ang negative 2 plus 7 sa 5. No? Since magkaiba sila ng sign, it means 7 minus 2. Or then, kakopyahin natin yung sign ni positive 7. So, ito ang gagamitin natin na factors. Okay, itong naka-circle. Sorry, medyo magulo. Ito naka-circle. Negative 2 and positive 7. Then ito, hindi natin pwedeng gamitin to since this will give us negative 13. And ito rin, hindi natin pwedeng gamitin to since it will give us positive 13, wherein ang hanap natin is positive 5. So it means ang gagamitin natin na factor is, or ang gagamitin natin factors are negative 2 and positive 7. Okay? Now, so there we have negative 2 and positive 7. Then the factors of m squared are m and m. Okay? Then now let's go to procedure number 3 or step 3, wherein we're going to equate each factors to 0. So we have m plus 7 equals 0 and m minus 2 equals 0. Then solve the value of m by transferring positive 7 to the other side and negative 2 to the other side of the equation. So m plus 7 equals 0 will become m equals negative 7. Okay? Then m minus 2 equals 0 will become m equals positive 2. So now we have the final answer or the roots of the equation, of the quadratic equation. Okay, so therefore, the roots of the quadratic equation are negative 7 and positive 2. Now, if you are going to substitute negative 7 and positive 2 to the original equation, the equation will result to 0. Okay, I hope you understand this lesson. See you on the next lesson, and thank you for watching.